Starmer is now widely held in Britain to be screwing the entire country. That's what concerns me. And he is in an improper relationship with the gay Bangladeshi billionaire Lord Ali. That improper relationship is a financial one. Keir Starmer has accepted utterly inappropriate gifts and financial support from Lord Ali in the first instance without declaring it. This is a matter...
It was the wrong thing to do, you plonker. And then he goes, it didn't cost the taxpayer a penny. Well, that's all right then. I mean, who on earth thinks it's okay to take money from a lord who's loaded in order to put your child in an apartment that he owns so that he can study peacefully? What influence does Lord Ali have on this government? I keep asking the question, I keep getting no answers. Let's talk to Dave. He's got a view. Dave.
Something has shifted in British politics, not through a law or a vote, but through a speech that rattled the establishment. At the centre is George Galloway, who accused Prime Minister Keir Starmer of being entangled in a secretive financial relationship with billionaire Lord Wahid Ali. This isn't about a one-off donation. It's about luxury gifts, undisclosed perks and political favours that were allegedly never declared. Roof face. The silence from Downing Street has been deafening. No denials, no explanations, just growing suspicion.
Keir Starmer, this is for Gaza. You have paid and you will pay a high price for the role that you have played in enabling, encouraging, and covering for the catastrophe presently going on in occupied Palestine in the Gaza Strip.
Lord Ali isn't just a donor, he's a media player, policy influencer, and alleged behind-the-scenes architect of Labour's message. Reports suggest his reach extends across think tanks, digital media, and grassroots operations that shape public opinion. Galloway's warning was blunt. If Starmer is beholden to Ali, Britain's democracy is at risk, because no one voted for Lord Ali, and yet he may be calling the shots. Starmer built his image on clean leadership, but if these financial ties go as deep as claimed, that image may be nothing more than branding, paid for, packaged and delivered by the highest bidder. George Galloway's accusations didn't fade. They exploded. Social media lit up. Journalists started digging. Even mainstream outlets are now asking hard questions about Keir Starmer's ties to Lord Wahid Ali.
As a matter of fact, he delayed as long as he could and then beyond that which was acceptable to the parliamentary authorities, the depth, and I mean real depth, of his financial relationship with Lord Ali. No British Prime Minister has ever allowed a billionaire to buy his clothes, buy his glasses, buy his wife's clothes, put him up in a multi-million-pound penthouse apartment in Soho in London. No British Prime Minister has ever had the kind of financial relationship with the billionaire Lord Ali that Keir Starmer...
Inside Labour, unrest is growing. MPs say they were kept in the dark. Some are demanding answers. Others are quietly reviewing communications and donation records, fearing more leaks are coming. What once looked like a passing controversy is starting to feel like a crisis. Starmer's silence is only making things worse. Every day without a response adds fuel to the fire. Once seen as a symbol of unity and readiness, Labour now appears shaken and uncertain. The core issue is no longer just influence, it's trust. Voters aren't asking if something's wrong, they're asking how deep it goes. And without answers, suspicion fills the gap.
Breaking news for you. As if you thought the gravy train had hit the buffers. Well, it hasn't, ladies and gentlemen. More revelations from Keir Starmer. This morning he admits that he took £20,000 in donations from Lord Ali for accommodation for his 16-year-old son to study, in his words, peacefully for his GCSE exams. I presume this means that's part of the £20,000 that was racked up for using the apartment that Lord Ali has, £18 million apartment apparently, in Covent Garden, a penthouse. Now, previously they said they used that for meetings. Previously they said Keir Starmer worked there on the night of the election. Previously they said that this was a place that he used to use for planning meetings during the election campaign. Now he's saying it was for his son to study peacefully for his GCSEs. Well, I don't know how much peaceful studying he was doing while they're all having a party on election night. Really? Seriously? Starmer said somebody offered me accommodation. Somebody? You mean Lord Ali offered me accommodation where we could do that, and I took it up, and it was the right thing to do. No, it wasn't.
TTB//U2B/6NI UF0 HJF3Y yes IE equals 851 Kput 7 GQK9 QIFS 001 115. The longer Starmer stays quiet, the more his image cracks. Reform was his brand, but without accountability, it starts to look like a carefully crafted illusion. Galloway's challenge has cut deeper than expected. It's exposed a growing suspicion among voters that Labour isn't being led, but stage managed, and not for public good, but private gain. This wasn't the narrative Labour planned for, but now it's the one they're trapped in. If Starmer keeps dodging the truth, the fallout won't come gradually, it'll hit hard and fast. Most scandals fade after apologies and resignations, but this feels systemic. It's not just about one man or one mistake, it's about a rigged political machine. Questions are now flying across all parties. Who funds them? Who whispers in their ears? Who pulls the strings from behind the scenes? Starmer's silence is quickly turning into political self-destruction. What began as a contained fire is snowballing into a nationwide awakening. The image of calm, clean leadership has shattered. What's emerging behind it is all too familiar: secrecy, donors, and old elite games. And in a country on edge, that's a story no leader can outrun. What George Galloway has laid out isn't wild speculation, it's a disturbing pattern. Strategic donations, silent influence, media manipulation. Every thread, when pulled, points to a deeper connection between Ali and the very structure of Labour's operations. The question that's now dominating conversation isn't whether Ali gave money. It's what he got in return. Was it access, editorial influence, a seat at the policy-making table? And if so, was it disclosed or quietly swept under the rug? If these ties extend into the Prime Minister's office, as the allegations suggest, then the implications are enormous. Every decision Starmer makes will be viewed through a lens of doubt. Every speech, every policy rollout, every sudden shift in Labour's platform will be scrutinised for signs of external puppeteering. Because if one unelected billionaire is shaping government direction, then this isn't a representative democracy anymore. It's a stage where the script has already been bought and sold. There's a reason this story won't die down. It cuts to the very nerve of what people fear most, that their voices no longer matter. That elections are carefully managed productions, not exercises in choice. That leaders aren't answering to the public, but to the people signing the checks behind closed doors. Galloway's speech pulled that fear into the spotlight. He didn't just call out Keir Starmer, he ripped the curtain off the whole performance and forced the public to ask the question no leader wants to answer. Who are you really working for? Because if Lord Ali's money greased the path to power, and if his influence helped shape campaign messages, policy outlines and staffing decisions, then Starmer's government was never formed in the name of the people. It was assembled in service of one man's agenda. And what makes that so dangerous is how easily it hides behind respectability, professionalism, moderation, all the labels voters were told to trust. But now, those words feel hollow, because behind them, the same elite interests may be calling the shots, just in quieter voices, wearing smarter suits. For Starmer, The political calculation seems simple. Say nothing, ride it out, let the news cycle move on. But that's a dangerous misread of the public mood. Because this isn't just a Westminster issue anymore, it's national. Voters are angry, not just because of what's been revealed, but because of how it's being handled. The refusal to acknowledge questions, the lack of transparency, and the reliance on silence have created a toxic mix of suspicion and resentment. Even within Labour, there's growing frustration. Backbenchers are reportedly furious at being left in the dark. Some have begun to ask whether they've been used. Unwitting faces of a political movement that was never truly about the people it claimed to represent. And if that resentment grows, Starmer won't just lose the public, he'll lose the party. Every day that passes without clarity chips away at his authority. What once looked like cautious leadership now reads as avoidance. And in a time when the country is demanding answers, avoidance looks a lot like guilt. Because eventually, silence doesn't protect you. It isolates you. Keir Starmer promised something better. A break from the chaos, a return to reason, a clean slate for British politics. But now, that promise is hanging by a thread. Because what's being exposed isn't chaos, but control. Not the messy unpredictability of democracy, but the quiet manipulation of wealth-steering power. And that kind of politics always comes at a cost. While Lord Ali allegedly shaped narratives from the shadows, everyday Britons were left to deal with real problems. Soaring energy bills, crumbling public services, a cost of living crisis that's hollowed out communities. And now, those same citizens are being told that a billionaire may have had more access to number 10 than they ever will. That's the scandal. Not just the alleged perks or donations, but the growing divide between those who govern and those they govern over. Starmer's silence only reinforces that divide. Every moment without explanation tells people exactly what they feared, that their concerns come second to the interests of the wealthy, that the decisions affecting their lives are made in rooms they'll never enter, by people they'll never vote for. The chilling part about this entire saga isn't just the allegation. It's the possibility that it all holds water. Because if even half of what George Galloway suggested is accurate, if Lord Ali truly bankrolled key parts of Labour's rise, advised media strategies, and maintained close contact with party insiders, then Starmer's independence as Prime Minister is seriously compromised. Not symbolically, not rhetorically, but in real, structural terms. What policies were shaped under that influence? What voices were silenced to keep donors happy? What opportunities for reform were quietly shelved in favour of corporate-friendly moderation? And here's the deeper fear. If this happens in plain sight, what else has gone unnoticed? This scandal forces the country to confront a brutal truth. Modern politics isn't just vulnerable to outside influence. It's built around it. Wealth buys access. Access buys control. And control, once secured, almost never lets go. If no one steps in to challenge that system, Britain could be headed for something far more dangerous than corruption. It could be heading toward a democracy in name only. Every political collapse starts with a crack, a moment when people stop believing the story they've been told. This may be that moment for Keir Starmer. The doubt is spreading. Inside Parliament, it's becoming harder to ignore the shift in tone. Once loyal MPs are growing cautious, whips are fielding tense phone calls, constituency offices are flooded with messages from voters demanding clarity. Some Labour strategists are now quietly modelling outcomes for a leadership contest, just in case. And outside the Westminster bubble, the public mood is turning, fast. The idea that a billionaire might have direct influence over Downing Street doesn't just erode trust, it incinerates it. Starmer's carefully curated image of integrity and independence is rapidly giving way to one of compromise and control. Every unanswered question adds another weight to a ship that's already listing. And still, Starmer says nothing. No statement, no press conference, not even a tweet, just the sound of silence as the foundations begin to shake. If the Prime Minister hopes to salvage his leadership, the time for waiting has passed. Because the longer he delays, the more people start to believe he's not leading at all. This scandal may have started with a speech, but it's ending with a realization, one that's rattling the entire country. That the people in charge might not be calling the shots. That behind every policy, every press release, every campaign promise, there could be someone else. someone unelected, someone unaccountable. For years, Starmer sold the image of a new kind of leader, a professional, clean, grounded. But the illusion is cracking, and what's being revealed is all too familiar. Concentrated wealth, hidden power, and a system where public service bends to private interest. This is no longer about Lord Ali. It's about the machinery of politics. It's about the quiet deals, the whispered influence, the men behind the curtains who decide more than they should. George Galloway asked the question out loud. Now, the country is echoing it. Is this still a government of the people, or is it something else entirely? The next few weeks will decide more than Starmer's future. They'll determine whether Britain is still a democracy that people can trust, or a stage where someone else writes the script. And if the silence continues, the curtain may fall. For good. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more updates like this.